So what the heck is Disgaea? Disgaea is an isometric 2D art-style tactical RPG from Nippon Ichi Software that has a heavy emphasis on character stats. And I mean heavy emphasis. The franchise has 5 mainline entries and a number of spin-offs. Each main entry follows a mostly unique cast of characters through a different, unconnected storyline. Think Final Fantasy. There are a lot of common names, terms, and themes, but each entry is a unique story by itself. There's some connective tissue between the entries, but these are usually little more than Easter eggs most of the time. The entries that I want to talk about are the 2 latest, Disgaea 4, A Promise Unforgotten, and Disgaea 5, Alliance of Vengeance. To get the broad strokes and underlying themes out of the way, Disgaea games typically follow a cast of demons from the Netherworld, or Netherworlds in 5's case, as they learn the basics of being shonen protagonists, despite having a supposedly inverted sense of morality stemming from them being demons. This is especially true in Disgaea 3, where the main character is a demon who wishes to become a hero, since in manga and anime, the hero is the most powerful and defeats all the demons. He wishes to defeat his father, the Overlord of the Netherworld, the highest class of demon in all of the games, so to that end, he kidnaps a character whose in-game class is hero and steals it. So yeah, there's a lot of metatextual awareness that goes on with these things. Each game is broken into chapters and have an anime-style "next time," where they try to describe what happens next in the story, filtered through popular anime tropes such as turning the game into a dating sim, a cooking showdown, or a good old-fashioned JoJo reference. The most recognized recurring characters, however, are the Prinnies, the explosive murder penguins the franchise is known for. Prinnies are the souls of wicked humans reincarnated as the lowest class of demons so that they can pay for their sins. They are required to say dude a lot and are annoying. Disgaea 4 is about a vampire named Valvatores who's a Prinny instructor in Hades, yes, that Hades, with his faithful werewolf servant Fenric. Valvatores takes great pride in his duties and in keeping his promises. The bulk of the game is a result of him promising sardines to the Prinnies upon graduation, but being unable to fulfill that promise because something kidnaps them before they can get them. The rest of the game follows him as he upends all of Hades to keep his word. Along the way, he encounters a girl who believes her presence in Hades as a failed Prinny is all a dream, an avarice-driven angel, the son of death itself, and a bioweapon whose life goal is to become the final boss. It's actually super cute.
Am I still alive?
You, Desco! If you want to call yourself a final boss, then keep this in mind. A strong defense is fundamental. You must first receive your opponent's attacks in a dignified manner.
Really? Desco had no idea.
It is absolutely unacceptable for you to deal lethal damage on your first turn. It completely ruins the balance of the game. I cannot approve of someone like you being the final boss. In fact, no one would approve of such a lousy game if it had that.
As expected of my lord. That must be the most biased opinion I've ever heard.
I told you, it gets meta. Disgaea 5 is the story of an alliance of the most powerful class of demons, overlords, banding together to stop an invasion of all the Netherworld by the demon emperor Void Dark. Yep, his actual name is Void Dark. They're led by Killia, shonen protagonist type 4, stoic loner with mysterious past and literal dark side. Killia tries to wage a one-demon war, but quickly finds himself allying with other demons who want revenge on Void Dark for various reasons that range from the understandable, destroying/conquering their domains, to the political, a forced marriage. Along the way, he recruits an oh-ho-ho-ho-ho girl, a professional wrestler, a rabbit cursed to eat curry, a demon vying to be a shonen protagonist type 2 spirited martial artist, subcategory brocentric protagonist, and a tactician overlord of the Netherworld Certain Giant, who is definitely not the game's one angel per game token representation acting undercover.
I'm going to take a bite too.
Now we get to the meat of these bad boys. Combat plays out on a grid with the player dispatching roughly up to a dozen units to perform their actions before allowing the enemy team to do so in kind. You can fight, use team-up attacks, use special moves, lift and throw any unit or object on the field, and you can stack units to perform these insane tower attacks. But the important thing is the stats. Disgaea games allow you to level up to 9999, but that's barely the beginning. Each game has a concept of reincarnation, which starts your unit back over at level 1, but allows them to retain some of their previous stat power while doing so. With this and other methods a little too deep to get into in such a short video, you can reach insane levels of power and billions of damage. And make no mistake, you need that power to take on some of the game's post-story campaign. Oh, and the story campaign usually stops at around level 100 or 150 with no reincarnations. So yeah, lots of room to tackle the game as hard as you want. So what are some of the ways that you get more powerful besides just beating up on dudes? Well, the one you've probably heard about the most is the item world. This is the most grind-tastic part of every single Disgaea game. Basically, every item in the game, be it swords, armor, health potions, bubblegum, or whatever, hosts an effectively infinite dungeon inside of it that you can teleport into. Each dungeon is made up of randomly generated floors that have an exit tile and monsters strewn about. By killing these monsters and moving down floors, you power up the stats on the item. Sometimes special monsters called innocents will appear as well. If you can subdue, i.e. kill, one of them, it will confer a special power to the item when you leave. To get the most powerful items in the game, typically you'll perform a specific item world sequence. To start, you get the most powerful item that you can from drops and or the item store in the game. Then you go to usually the 100th floor, so where an item god awaits. Item gods will typically have the next tier of the item that you're in equipped, so you can send out a thief and steal the item. But wait, you can then dive into that item to steal the even more powerful version from its item god. This will always get you a powerful item, but it doesn't go on forever. Typically you do this 2 or 3 times before you start getting the pinnacle versions of the item. In Disgaea 5, however, it's slightly different. There's a special dungeon floor that you have a chance of encountering that contains a weapon spirit inside, representing the ultimate weapon of that type. If the party leader in the spirit room is proficient enough with the weapon type, the spirit inside will confer you with its power. Besides the item world, you also have character world. This will take different appearances depending upon the entry. In Disgaea 3 and 4, character world was basically the same as the item world when you get right down to it. It was kind of a bummer, really. In Disgaea 5, however, it became a kind of dice-rolling board game where the spaces you land on give you stat boosts and enemies move to bar your path to the goal. Once you reach the goal, you gained whatever stat boosts you accumulated, and you get to pick from various perks that range from increased movement to learning a random skill, or putting a character-specific skill into a usable item, or increasing in weapon proficiency. I liked the board game version because it got you results much faster and more steadily than just grinding floors all over again. To help the main characters out on their journey, you're allowed to recruit various demons to your side, each with their own powers and abilities. Now, I'll say this up front. I am an easy lay for an RPG with character classes, and Disgaea has tons of character classes. Broadly speaking, there are 2 types, monsters and humanoids. The monster classes are your prinnies, skeletons, dragons, etc. Humanoids are more like jobs in Final Fantasy. Warrior, ninja, maid, death knight, Power Ranger knockoff, whatever. Some human classes even have male-female specific flavors and abilities like the Valkyrie, the Gunner, and Witch classes. Now let's talk about another staple of the series, the Senate. It changes themes now and then depending upon the game setting, but generally there's an assembly hall where you put forward various resolutions that will change the game. These are things like more expensive items in the store, unlock character classes, double XP on the next mission, extort money from certain monsters, or what have you. You take your bill/class proposal/demands before the Senate/student council/potential victims, and before calling for a vote, you survey the crowd to see if you can bribe them to your side by using the various items in the game. Each senator is a class from the game, and each has an item type that they would like that you can exploit. Or you can just chloroform them, make them drunk, or blow them up. Once you're done bribing, you can call for a vote. Majority wins. But no worries if you lose the vote, you can always just murder all of the nays to pass it anyway. Ah, democracy. Another staple of the franchise is the GeoPanel system. With it, tiles and missions have a chance of being color-coded, and special geo units can be present on the map. The geo units have various effects on them, such as XP plus 50%, invulnerable, swap HP and MP damage, teleport, fusion. Monster-type units can be fused to make a more powerful unit, but that's a whole other video. And there are lots of other effects. Where it gets complicated is that a geo panel will take on the effect of any geo unit that is touching that color. And if a geo unit is destroyed, it'll convert every panel of that color to its own color, and damage anyone that just so happened to be standing there. This allows you to make large cascading color swaps, and if you play your cards right, you can actually clear maps without directly attacking anyone. Lastly, I want to talk about the cheat shop. This is something you unlock in the game, but it's somewhat mislabeled. It allows you to cheat, but most of what it really does is make the game harder. The most important setting in the cheat shop is enemy difficulty, which can only be turned up. This becomes super important as you try to power level later on in the game. You can also adjust the amount of the various currencies and experience points that you get in the game, but it has caps on how high or low that you can take everything when you start off. And increasing caps tends to simply allow you to keep up with the stat inflation of the game as the enemies get stronger. That said, I feel every RPG could do with some form of this feature inside. Disgaea is a franchise I should hate. It's all about grinding, there's no two ways about it. This I know is what turns a lot of people off on it, but the way it embraces the grind and makes real gameplay around it is something I admire and even look forward to. I was secretly hoping the PS5 reveal would have a Disgaea 6 announcement with it, since it's been about 5 years and a whole console generation since the last one, which is their usual cadence, but c'est la vie. And there's just so much quirk and personality in the game. There's a bug that's present in the game that they have carried forward to all of their entries. At level 99, the XP formula changes, and for the effort, enemies at exactly that level give more XP than enemies from level 100 to 300. This creates a kind of side game where you try to find the levels with tons of level 99 enemies in them, or create them using the cheat shop so you can power level yourself. Having trouble with a senator that's too high level? Throw and fuse them with a friendly or neutral senator to take their voice out of the vote. The major cast of every previous Disgaea game shows up as a playable characters every time. Their DLC stories when they show up, and in some cases the previous main character / boss will even try to take over as the current game's protagonist. The story modes are also entertaining. They're your usual shonen anime nonsense with Nakama, and the true power was the bonds we made along the way, and blah blah blah. But the characters are all likable and endearing in their own way, so it's engaging enough to keep me invested. And I love that the English translation tries to keep all the Japanese quirkiness intact. Characters with odd speech tics, such as saying plip at the end of some of their sentences, have them translated here. It's stupid and in some cases actually annoying, but it shows a lot of heart and care went into bringing the game to me. I also like that each game has a sizable story campaign, but once that's complete, the post-game storylines tend to dwarf them in scope and difficulty. The post-game story also tends to lean really heavy into fourth wall breaking, yeah, we know we're in a video game, plot lines as well. Usually you have a recruitable version of the boss character available because of the old, we found an even more powerful enemy that we can't beat alone trope. But said enemies and their overpowered drops are a whole different story. Thanks for watching, dude.